Okay, you good?
Yep.
Come here, check this out. All day it has been raining, and we thought we would not get an episode, but lo and behold, a break in the clouds, and wait until you see what I found. Hopefully it's still there. Ooh, there he is. I can see him from here. Oh, he's so big. Look at this. Look, look, look. Yes! Do you know what that is?
Looks like a giant snail.
It is. It is the giant African land snail. And I have never been more happy to see a snail in my life than I am right now, because we've been dealing with rain all day. We didn't think we'd get an episode. Sure enough, there's a break in the weather. I come out, I'm looking around. Mario and I were actually filming termites coming up out of their nest. They got flooded out. I turn around, and what do I see? This giant beauty. Oh boy.
I think we may not have that long.
Yeah, we've got just a few minutes to film this episode, but what I want to do is gently pick this snail up and see if we can take a close look at its anatomy. You ready? I'm gonna try to do this really gently so that I don't scare it.
You sure you're fast enough?
Yeah, right? One speedy little mollusk.
It didn't go into its shell.
Nope, that's because I was incredibly gentle with it. It does not feel scared right now. And look at that creature. Honestly, this is the biggest snail I have ever handled. Now, similar to slugs, they have a very interesting design to their body. Now, separate from slugs, obviously they're carrying their house on their back, which you can see that shell right there. Such a cool looking shell. Go ahead and zoom in on that. Look at that unique design, almost like the stripes of a tiger. And it's got that conical shape. And it looks like it's kind of nubbed off at the end. Sometimes they are pointy at the end. Ooh, and he is just latched onto me right now. Now, most of the time you think of snails as being a creature that as soon as it's disturbed, it will suck its body into its shell to stay protected. And of course, if I was trying to eat the snail, that's what it would do. But in this instance, because I picked it up gently and placed it on my hand, it feels completely comfortable. Let's look at the face of this animal. It's got those very distinct eye stalks, and as we know, these creatures do not have good eyesight, but what they can do is sense light in the environment. Now, just underneath the front of those two little stalks, it has a scratchy radula. Ooh, and I can feel it on my finger right there. And what they do is they move that across the environment. These are like little environmental vacuum cleaners, moving about, cleaning up all of the dead debris. Whether it's decomposing plants or even animal matter, it's fair game for these snails. And it's so cool, a mollusk like this out here in the desert terrain of South Africa. And again, the only time you're going to see a creature like this is either at night or after a large rainstorm has moved through. Obviously, this creature's taking advantage of all the moisture in the ground and all of the wet plant life that it can chomp up on.
So Mario, it's not uncommon to have larger animals in Africa. Why is everything so big?
Yeah, he said big animal, so I was thinking like elephant, but I guess it's the environment. There's probably a lot of food and a lot of nutrients that these animals could get in order to get big.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Now look at its skin, so bumpy, almost looks like it would be rough and rugged like the skin of a rhino, but it's actually very slimy and sticky. Mark, why don't you go ahead, put your finger in there, tell the audience what it feels like.
Oh wow, it's not rough at all.
No, slimy, isn't it?
It's not even bumpy. It's like gooey.
Like a booger, like a big, gushy booger.
Coyote, is its shell growing or is it going to find a new shell?
No, that's a great question. The shell is actually growing with the snail, and it is attached on the inside. So unlike a hermit crab per se, this creature cannot leave its shell and find a new one.
Ooh, is it leaving a slime trail on your hand?
Actually, that's a good question, Mario. What it is leaving is technically called a snail trail. Just a layer of goo on my hand. And that actually helps them to mark their territory, and it allows other snails to sense when potential mates have gone through their environment.
I think the stripe down the back of it is so cool. It actually looks a lot like its shell as well.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Now I imagine that this helps to blend it into the environment. I mean, camouflage-wise, this creature is going to want to stay hidden. You may be saying to yourself, so Coyote, that thing looks gross, like a big slimy booger. What would possibly be eating this? Birds, reptiles, if they could get into the shell, obviously something like, you know, a hyena, if it were to come across something like this, may
baboons.
think, ooh, baboons. I'm sure baboons would love to eat these. Anything that would be able to get to the soft insides of this creature's body would turn it into a meal, but fortunately, they are capable of sucking their bodies in and oftentimes can stay protected from predators. Now, let's take a look at the underside of the snail. I'm gonna peel it off of my hand very slowly here. Oh, that's sticky. Look at that foot. That foot is what's used for locomotion. and they just very slowly move throughout the environment. And as you can tell, these snails move very, very slowly. Such a cool primordial creature. Now, similar to slugs, most snails also have an external lung called a neostome. And I can see that on this one, but it's very hard to identify. It's right there. Mark, see if you can zoom in on that. I'm sure you're watching this episode and you're thinking to yourselves, wow, this certainly is a cool looking snail. But unfortunately, these creatures are invasive in many areas and they are detrimental to agricultural crops. They reproduce very easily, and once you have thousands of these out there, they can quickly wipe out an entire crop. Well, I'll tell you what, on a day filled with rain, when we didn't think an episode was going to be possible, we have a break in the weather and managed to find the giant African snail. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. All right, big guy. Let's let you speed back off into the environment.